highlight, you know, any changes from last year's final report. As you very well know, we have done quite successfully. We improved our FS10 and FS10A processes by which you were finalizing your FS10 and FS10A. We reviewed them and then we gave you the okay, that's all good, and then need to be printed and signed. This way we, for the most part, prevented the, you know, you having, you know, you sign it and your president sign and then having that to be redone. We want to avoid that this time as well. So we are going to proceed in the same manner. This week we are going to you are going to receive invites to the Google Drive so that you can edit your final report roster, and you can also complete the form. When that's done, when you completed the form and you have finalized your roster, you again let us know by email, let your liaison know directly that you have finished, and then we are going to review those and everything is fine. We're going to let you know that you can print the certification form that's being referred to in the email that was sent last Wednesday. And then you can have it signed. This way, again, you know that it's been everything is being pre-approved by us, and you can have it signed and then email to us, scan and email to us. Again, for things that come to our office, we gladly accept electronic submissions. For things that have to go to the Grant Finance Office or Contents Administration Unit, those need to be hard copies, signed preferably in blue ink by the president and again or their designee. And again, please, if you have any changes in your president or changes in your president's designee, let us know, please. And if there's a new designee, please send us a letter from the president that says so we have it on file. Again, the due date for the final report, roster and form, the same as FS10F, July 30th, 2017. FS10F, you sent it to Grants Finance. Okay, please, again, and make sure that you document everything that they require, because they are very diligent in checking those out. For us, again, as I mentioned before, an email with a scanned copy of certification form will suffice. But then, again, that's been done when we pre-approve your final report. Due, again, July 30th. All right, so again, please mute your phones. We can still hear some phones that are not muted. What we're going to do now, we are going to go over the roster first, and we are going to stop at the areas where you have had questions, and we are going to answer those questions, okay? So, pretty much the roster is similar with last year's. There are just a few changes, as we said. You can see that there is a change in gender. You can choose between male, female, and non-binary. Then you need to choose Hispanic or Latino. And again, this is ethnicity. It can be, again, a 0 or a 1. And definitely, as per federal guidelines that we are using, here you are going to select a 0 or a 1 always for Hispanic or Latino, and then you can choose any of the following races: American Indian, Asian, Black, African American, Native, Hawaiian, or Pacific.
However many a student.
How many of the students may choose to share with you? Okay. Then we have the student zip code, and there was a question for this. You'll have to use their original zip code, their domicile, for this. The other question was regarding, and you can see there's a small change here, semester of entry into a New York State sponsored opportunity program other than HEOP. This applies to your transfer students. And then you have the semester of entry into HEOP. So that's, again, the answer to the second question. The third question was regarding the attachment, the file, the Excel file. It was just, again, for you to see ahead of time and to, yeah. So the question was, I began inputting data on the fund report roster that was sent as an attachment just to test it out and then continued. I have already put in data for 30 students, but will stop now until I hear from you. Will you be able to read this? No, that's a local file on your computer, so we're not going to be able to use that. Will I be able to transfer this data to the actual roster? The answer is yes, using copy and paste, and please use paste as values. Very important, that will not change the formatting. We'll keep the original formatting of the spreadsheet. So that's, will be very much appreciated. And, this way, we're not going to have, different forms and fonts and stuff like that and different colors. So definitely, you are going to, as soon as we are going to have these files ready, because, we have improved them even this morning based on your feedback. And you are going to get an invite starting this week. That's when you are going to be able to complete those in Google Drive. The next question was is related to the change that we made here, the IRP code, and that's when I'll ask Janet to chime in on what exactly IRP code is and why we're using it.
Well, the IRP stands for Inventory of Registered Programs. Every degree granting program that's registered in the state of New York has an IRP code associated with it. And what we're looking for is for you folks to report the program code that your students are enrolled in. This can be obtained in the instructions. Dan and Mike are referring you to a website, and that's very handy for looking up individual program codes that are available at your institution. The easiest way, however, for you to get the IRP code for all of your program enrollees is to talk to either your registrar's office, who will probably refer you to the Office of Institutional Research. Now, it's entirely possible that you have some folks enrolled who are not enrolled as yet. They are undeclared. And if your institution does not already have a default IRP code for that, you are more than welcome to use 5 zeros. And we will know that means that this particular student is undeclared.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, Janet.
You're welcome.
We are going to this. Meanwhile, you can see the website regarding the inventory of registered programs. So you can search by institution, by subject area, and so on and so forth. Going back to the roster, another question was, when we list that a student is LPP, is it if they graduated high school still as a part of a program? Is it they were in LPP at any point in their middle school, high school years? The answer for this is that at any point being in LPP. So we wanted to know if they've been in LPP at any point in their program. And again, we have updated this to yes, no, or information not available. There are more options, decided that, these are yes, no, or not available, that would suffice. Again, as we said, we simplified the roster. The other question that came about was, but before going to the other question, I want to highlight something, because that's an area that we had questions last year, individual questions. Again, if your school is using cumulative GPA unweighted or weighted, put it there. If you don't use GPA, if you don't use weighted GPA, that one you can leave blank. The other thing here is cumulative credit hours used. Then we have credits. So how many they have used over the years that have been in your school, or at another opportunity or HEOP opportunity program in New York State. So this would be, you know, all the hours they attempted, that pretty much they used. That means they attempted during their career, because, of course, some students may fail or withdraw from a class, but this is how many they use. That's what the legislation is looking at, and we are trying to capture that information. We clarified here that these are credits attempted academic year. It's, you know, can be 24, 30, maybe less than that for part-time students. These are earned. So these are here, those are that they attempted. They registered into class, and they can be, credits earned may equal credits attempted. Sometimes credits earned can be less, never can be greater than attempted. These are remedial hours. Please hold any other questions. Please hold it till the end, and then we're going to, you know, have an open Q&A just at the end. So these are the remedial hours. We have the tutoring here as well as counseling. So nothing has changed from last year in this. And then notes. Again, notes are not mandatory. However, highly advisable to have those here, because that shows us the level of communication, of knowledge that you have of your students. There's one more thing that I think I just went over that. Give me a second here, and that is... It's supposed to be at 11 now. And then we have at 12, car lights coming at 12. Yeah. Housing status here. Please mute your phone. Thank you. All right. For now, we have resident and commuter. And then that may change within the next few days, because right now, new regulations are on the Board of Regents agenda, and based on the feedback we had from the field, we are looking to having students that are, again, this is taking this with a grain of salt. They can be on-campus residents and off-campus residents. So that will be a change. All right, but we need to wait for Board of Regents meeting to finalize, I think tomorrow, and then we are going to let you know. So nothing, you are not going to receive invites, but only starting again later in the week after we have it clarified. And so this was the question that we received for housing status. How do we label students who live off campus, not parents, guardians? So there was a question that we are answering, and this is the answer is that this may change. Okay. All right. I think now we're done with the roster for now. We are going to go to the form, and Mike.
So we had a question on the form for number 27. And the question that we received is when students are funded in the summer as their last semester to graduate, are they considered part-time since they may only need 6 credits to finish their college undergraduate career? The answer would be yes, they are considered part-time. So anything less than the full-time load, no matter whether it's the summer, fall, or spring, if a student is less than their full-time load, they are considered part-time. Then the question asks, referring to the form in question 27, when we enter the cost per credit on the part-time question. I think there's some confusion in how you're reporting individual students and how you're reporting aggregate data. The aggregate data that you're reporting for part-time students is your average overall, so this would not affect if you have one student who is suddenly part-time. You're reporting aggregate data in the form, so that should be your average overall. We have a question regarding some of the narratives, and I'm going to scroll down to question 36. So question 36 is asking for the 4-year cohort rate, assuming that 4 years back from fall 2016. Question asks, shouldn't we be reporting the class entering 4 years from fall 2017, which is the group that just got the degrees conferred in May 2017? This question was a little confusing, but we think we understand the question. The answer to the question is no. You're going to be reporting 4 years back from fall 2016. What we're looking for the cohorts starting in 2012, and that is for the 4 and 5 years. So they're not 2 separate cohorts. This is the same cohort, and we're looking for the 4-year and 5-year graduation rate. Anything you want to add, Associate?
4 and 5. Yeah. So now question 36 again, and question 35. They refer to the same cohort.
36 and 38.
Okay.
There we go. Okay.
36 and 38.
Yes.
Yes.
Refer to the same cohort.
It's the same cohort.
Adjustment to 37 and 39. Currently referring to.
Right, and there's great eye, Janet. we have a typo there for the 37, 39. That have to be the same class. So we're going to fix that. Yes. Awesome. All right. Question number 40. Allow me to jump in here. Is that this is referring to, and this just to be just a number of schools, just a few schools have a 5-year bachelor's degree. That's your engineering and architecture, and sometimes maybe pharmacy. They may have 5 years bachelor's degree. Okay, so that graduate within 6 years, and we're looking at the class that entered in 2011. All right, so
only for those 5.
Only for those 5-year programs. It's just a few of them, probably. I mean, it's maybe less than 10 in total in all HEOP schools.
And your registrar should know what are the 5-year registered programs. We do get mistakes on this question every year, actually. So this is just not students who are in your program for 5 years. This is actually a 5-year registered program in your institution. Okay, we're going to move on here. So we have some questions regarding the narrative piece. Did I pass it? I think it's 48. Okay, here we go. Okay, so we simplified this a little bit, and hopefully we clarified, but we can do some further clarification here as to what we're looking for in the narrative piece. So the question we have here is HEOP office operations. Please be more detailed on explanation of what exactly SED is looking for in this question. So for question 48A, we're looking for an office operations, narratives detailing your staffing, hiring, any updates in the structure in your local office. So this is not campus This is not a campus structure, but this is everything local to your internal HEOP operations. So if you hired new staff, if you added a new staff position, if you took away staff positions, this is all office operations. You want to add something?
Yes, thank you, Mike. What I'd like to add is that in the rare circumstance that your office has been changed, you know, in the structure of the organization, let's say moved from VP of Student Affairs to VP of Academic Affairs, that would have been approved by SED as per the RFP, and you'd report that here as well. So that's what I wanted to add, that part. Just in case, very rare.
Sure, thank you, Dan. HEOP office accomplishments. Please be more detailed on the explanation of what exactly SED is looking for in this question. So office accomplishments, so this is where you can refer back to your interim report, take a look at your matrix. You have submitted to us a plan on what your programs are planning to do throughout the program year, and here's where you can state whether or not you have achieved those goals. So please refer back to your interim report. Take a look at the things that you have stated to us, the accomplishments you would like to achieve throughout the year, and here's where you tell us whether or not you have actually achieved those goals. And then areas of improvement. Here's where you will let us know what didn't go as planned. So perhaps in your goal, you stated a particular item and it didn't go as planned. Here's where you'll report that to us. You will also should put in this area how you plan on making improvements. Taking a look back at things that didn't go so well, and how what do you think could go better in the following year? Are those goals that are achievable? Are those goals that need to be revised? Are those goals that you want to take a look at and maybe add additional items to those goals? So here's where you tell us what has been done so well and how you can make that better. And then the activity summary. So this is specifically in the interim report where you're looking at the matrix. You have given us a list of your activities. So it's a little different than just the overall accomplishments. This is specifically regarding the activities that you submitted to us. And you're going to take a look at the matrix and let us know what are the things that you have submitted to us in the matrix, and then let us know whether or not you have, number one, you did the activities, and two, whether or not the activities achieved their stated goals. Anything else that you want to add?
No, I think want to go to the front and say what we improved, we simplified. Sure. So this pretty much concludes the questions that we had. But you know, Michael could walk us a bit through the whole report, showing that there are areas where we didn't get questions on those, but we did again simplify, especially when you're looking to questions 10 and
so most of the form you take a look, it looks pretty much the same. We did remove contract number, so you'll only be reporting the project number. And then please note that the project number does change every year. And so for this year, you'll see the format. We did highlight for you that make sure that the middle two digits of your project number does reflect 17. That will change next year. That is different from the previous year. But for this year, for the final report, the project number should have the middle two digits 17 in there. Everything else is pretty standard from the previous reports. One thing that we did want to highlight, a change that also was reflected in the roster, we did include in the report on the gender for non-binary. So that has been also carried over into the final report form. So you can take a look, an example here in number 12 also asks for the number of non-binary persons who apply to your institution.
Okay. One thing I want to highlight here, since we are discussing this, since your questions last year regarding is, again, you hear the questions 10 and to 12, we are looking to ask from you the students who were looked at by your office and admissions or both offices, and they were both academically eligible for HEOP, okay? And then, because that's important, it's an important indicator for us to the need of our HEOP, the need to have more students in HEOP. So that's very important to have accurate numbers on this. Then we are looking at the people that attended your summer program, and then we are looking at the people that returned to your institution in the fall, and or again spring semester. So that will be the academic year, because yes. So which one? So scroll down. All right.
The one you just.
Okay, so Mike?
So one of the things, and Dan was kind of speaking to this, but when we're looking at the number of students that applied, the number of students that were admitted, and the number of students enrolled, and we often get a lot of incorrect data with those questions. For example, I had an institution that had only 10 students applied, were admitted, and enrolled, and we see that a lot. We highly urge you to work with your admissions office to know how many students actually applied and checked off interest for HEOP, and make sure that they were eligible economically and academically. And we know for each institution, this looks different depending on the enrollment. The level of involvement the HEOP office has with the admissions office. But we want to accurately capture how many students are actually applying for HEOP, because as Dan was saying, this expresses the need that we have in HEOP. So for a lot of institutions, we had actually to go back and work with your admissions office to actually see how many institutions applied. Another interesting phenomenon that we saw was that we had different numbers reported in the interim report versus that was reported in the final report. And so we highly urge you to make sure that the numbers that are reporting for applied, admitted, and enrolled are the actual numbers. And so we will be going back and doing comparison and making sure that those numbers are accurately reflected in both the interim report and the final report. They should match.
An example is, students that attended the summer program. There was a case when someone reported a roster of 10 students in the summer during the interim report, and then here we saw 50. Which one was correct? So again, it's important that we have accurate numbers. No, pretty much I'm done. So that's HEOP transfers. So again, every year we are trying to improve this report. We're trying to make it easier for you, because if it's easier for you to complete, it's going to be easier for us to review. And again, we want to have, accurate data. Now, if we don't have accurate data, Janet has algorithms that will, we are going to know that. And that's, again, we would like not to have to ask you to redo your reports. Because again, it is important, again, I know I'm saying it again, and I know I'm preaching to the choir because we all want to have everything, all information to be correct and be, because again, the information we're asking for here is information that, again, we are going to be reporting to the commissioner and again to the legislature, because we are all in this together. We want our, this program to continue to be successful and serve as many students as possible. Because again, based on information that we had till the last few years, because we started asking the question about how many students applied to your school and were eligible for the institution, we always had 6,000 to 7,000 students applied for around 1,000 seats that were available. So again, we want to continue to find out, to know exactly where we are with this, showing the need for HEOP.
Before we open it up to any open questions, we did want to just take a moment to let you know that we will be updating the final report instructions as we receive feedback from the field, the questions that we did receive. We're going to clarify some of the things that we stated here and make updates to the instructions, especially for the field descriptions. We'll try to clarify some of the questions and add some more detailed descriptions.
Okay. Thank you, Mike.
Now, we want to make sure we try to do the questions as orderly as possible.
So if you are on the computer, please go into the chat and write it down and write it to us. This way we can, it'll be easier for us to, look at it. So let's have like 5 minutes, and please send those, put those questions in the chat and send those to the moderator or the host, which is us. Okay, hold on a second, because we see some feedback right now. See, Deepa is asking, the certification form may be signed and sent after July 30th. The pre-approval is given after that date. Yes, that is correct. So what we need from you, again, to send us to finalize the roster, finalize the form, and let us know. That will fulfill your July 30th deadline. Then we analyze, we review them, and then we'll let you know. And again, we want your FS10F does not, that still needs to be July 30th, okay? But for the certification form, we are going to wait, okay? So that we can review, and then we'll let you know it's good to go. Another question is if part-time students refers to 369. Anything, as Mike said, anything that's less than full-time, which is 12 credits, is considered part-time. And I need to remind you that, I'd like to remind you that a student in their final semester, they can get less than 6 credits and still be HEOP student. That's one exception that was done starting with this RFP, in which someone who, for whatever reason, needs 3 more credits to graduate, they can still benefit from HEOP support. Another question is, why do we have to add project number and institution to each name on the roster?
Well, that's really kind of straightforward. It just makes sure that that student is always and will always be tied to that project number at that institution.
For statistics,
yes.
And so you can follow up on the students.
For all future analysis.
Yep. Thank you, Jen. Okay. All right.
For the IRP code, what would you list if someone is a double major? Good question. You just pick one. Really, whichever way. If they're enrolled in two separate programs, pick one of the programs.
Okay, the social science category seems to be missing from the tutoring section. We'll review it. We'll take a look at it. It may have been just, we are going to review that and get back to you, okay?
Yeah, you may have accidentally dropped it.
It's possible. Maybe hidden by mistake.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, another note. Thank you for providing that observation that the method of entry into NYS-sponsored opportunity program not listed on instructions. Definitely, we are going to update that. Yes, yes. So there are a few changes which we are going to clarify those. We are going to update our instructions. Again, your feedback is very much appreciated.
Yeah, it's already been answered.
Yep. Yep. Again, roster, month graduated, year graduated, not on instructions. It will be fixed. Okay. All right. So this is 5 minutes. Now, I would like to open the floor, as it were, so to speak, for those of you who logged in only through the phone, or just connected to the phone. If you have any questions, please chime in. And there'll be two people speaking at the same time. We'll go in alphabetical order. Okay. Anyone?
Hello?
Yes?
Can you tell me if the IRP codes are 2 digits or 5 digits?
They're both. Depending on the institution, there are IRP codes that could be 2 digits. There are IRP codes up to 5 digits.
Okay. Okay. So, but if there's no major, then we'll use the 5 zeros.
If your student is not enrolled in a degree granting program, then yes, 5 zeros would be fine.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Another question popped up in the chat. Can you go over cumulative credit hours used? Yes, you are going to add all the hours student has used at your institution and another institution that was an opportunity program institution like CUNY or SUNY, EOP or 6CD. Another question came about if your admission application does not ask category for non-binary, as for other.
And I agree. Obviously, you cannot presume one's preferred gender identification. It's a conversation you may want to have with your admissions office to change the option for other to non-binary. In the meantime, if a student is identifying to you as other, and you're only receiving that through the admissions process and not through any programming or application that you personally have for the student, then you don't know what that student's gender identification is. Did you?
So the answer that will be yes will be, if they choose other, then you can use non-binary.
Because they're not choosing to be within whichever the binary offering.
Another question for degrees sought if they change their major during the year. Do we put the code they began or ended with?
Ended with
Ended with. The one that's the most current.
status at the end of the year.
Exactly. Yeah, status at the end of the year. Thank you. Yeah. Anyone else on the phone? Okay, I see things are coming on the chat. All right, regarding any credits they might have earned while still in high school, and I would assume, maybe I'm wrong to assume, but maybe credits earned as an early college in high school. Again, those do not count. They are not in higher education. Don't count those as credits for the student, all right? Those can be transfer credits, but will not count against the opportunity credits to be used by the student in college. All right, back to the phone. Anyone else? Because we're alternating between the two.
Any questions on the phone?
Hi, this is Michelle from Barnard. Quick question: Can you review the 5-year? I had to step out and I heard something about the 5-year support. Can you just reiterate what that was?
A 5-year registered program. Okay, a 5-year registered program is one in which the student needs usually 150 credits to graduate as opposed to 120. It's a bachelor's that is in engineering or in architecture or pharmacy. Your college may not or university may not offer it. So that's it's not very often that happens, but we'd like to capture that information if your college or university is offering that.
Oh, okay, but that doesn't affect whether the students need additional time to finish their degree. Like, you know, in our case, we don't have 5-year programs, but if a student needs additional time, they're still okay for that.
Well, students can have up to 10 semesters if they are in a 4-year program. They can have up to 12 semesters if they are in a 5-year program.
But if your institution does not have a 5-year registered program, you would not report on that question.
Exactly. Got you. Okay. Just wanted to make sure I didn't miss anything with that. Thank you.
Welcome. There's a question regarding non-binary. If it's relevant for reporting purposes. It is relevant, okay? It's, New York State does not discriminate, and it is important for us to know. I hope this answers your question. Another question regarding cumulative credit hours. If the student has not transferred, what do we list for cumulative credit hours? If the student started your institution, you list the credits accumulated while at your institution. If, let's say, student attended a non-opportunity program institution and did not transfer those credits, let's say for-profit school, then you don't count them. They are not, again, what we are looking at, these are credits that someone used while an opportunity program student, someone who was again HOP, 6CD or EOP, and that's it. You don't count anything else because that means someone was supported by New York State during those credit hours, during those semesters. So if they did not have an opportunity program sponsorship, so to speak, you don't count those.
Any other questions on the phone?
Of the 20-something credits that Richie transferred in.
Do we have any other questions on the phone?
Okay.
Here the institution granting.
If someone has phone that's not muted and there's no question coming, If you have a question, please say so. If you don't have a question, please mute your phone. Anyway, we are then ready to wrap up.
Last call for questions on the phone.
Okay. Well, I think that some people are checking out already. I heard the bip. We thank you for your time. We appreciate everything you do for HEOP students. And try to stay cool because it's really hot out there, in the 90s already here in Albany. All right? Have a great day. And the last question is the recording. It will be sent by email. Okay, that's going to take a while. We are going to try to, because it's a proprietary format. We can provide that as soon as the transcript will be provided to us. The video, actually not transcript, sorry, the video will be transformed from the .arf format to one that can be played by a Windows or Apple media player. So as soon as that happens, yes, you are going to have access to this recording. Questions are still coming. As soon as possible, you are going to have, we are waiting now for the Board of Regents to reach a decision. And we are also finalizing and correcting and updating the forms based on your feedback. As soon as that's been done, no promises, but starting this, this week, we are going to send those out. You are going to get the invites. Okay. All right. So everyone, please have a great day, and thank you for listening. Bye bye. Thank you for your questions. Feedback.